Welcome everybody to this fifth presentation on writing and presentations tips. Today I will talk about some more minor things on how to talk and primarily write in a structured way. And as before, this is material of ISP Group, part of the CDIO course that we have, which is also a bachelor course, and we are now in the second half of this course. So all of you are in the midst of writing. So the key thing I have noticed when I have talked to you individually in the groups is that many of you are forgetting that you want to say something. So many of you just come with facts, but these facts are not structured in a way that you actually have a message, you actually have something that you want to convince the reader about. And the thing that you really want to convince the reader about is the one-sentence summary of the entire project, which ideally should be the title of the report. So a good title of the report is the statement that you actually want to convince the reader of. And then basically the entire report is just a series of arguments for why this one-sentence summary of the project that you have is actually true. And the first thing that you say, which is in the introduction, is that this thing that you claim, for instance, we have a model for this, or this mechanism contains this feedback loop, or something like that. The first thing that you say in the introduction is that this thing that you are going to say is important. And you also say that it's the next logical step. So this is the thing that you want to say in the introduction. This is the sort of argument that you want to make, that this new result that we have, it is important and it's the next logical step. And this in itself, the introduction or the background, has of course a number of sub-arguments as well. And usually you start with the importance. So and the importance in these kind of projects usually come from a disease. So you need to say that the disease is important. And then usually you zoom in on that it has some key mechanisms, that these mechanisms are not understood enough, and there is in particular one that is particularly intriguing, and here maybe systems biology would be a good tool, and so on. And all of these are sub-arguments for the argument that what you're going to do is important, which is a sub-argument for the entire thing that you have sort of stated. And all of these sub-arguments should be in their own section or in their own paragraph, which means that each paragraph is actually an argument in itself. So you want to say something and you want to argue for it. So you have an argument which is a sub-argument of a sub-argument, which is a sort of overall statement. And now if we look at paragraph structures, I already talked a little bit about paragraphs, but I want to add a few things. And what I want to say is that there are some very common structures of a paragraph. And here, if we have a paragraph depicted here as a picture, in the first alternative, you typically start with a topic sentence, which might, for instance, say, if it's the first sub-argument, that this disease is type 2 diabetes is a common disease, or something like this. And then maybe you have, or maybe the topic sentence is that this thesis is about type 2 diabetes. And then the argument sentence is what you want to argue, which in the first sub-argument is that type 2 diabetes is a common disease which is costly for society. And then that is what you want to say in that paragraph. You want to give lots of support for why that is true. And that is what you do in the main part of the paragraph. You give some statistics of how many has it, how much it costs for society, and how this is changing over time, and so on. All of these are arguments for that type 2 diabetes is a costly disease for society, for our society. And then you end the paragraph by summing up, saying something maybe like, all of these are arguments for why type 2 diabetes is an important disease to study and understand the mechanisms of. And then you have led on to the next paragraph, which probably will say something about the mechanisms of type 2 diabetes. And then you might say something, type 2 diabetes has two main mechanisms. And then that is what you say in that paragraph. So this is one way to structure a paragraph. In another way, you combine the topic sentence and the sub-argument, so the main argument of this paragraph, into one sentence, which is sort of what I did before, that you say that, so you don't start with saying this thesis is about type 2 diabetes, but you start with the statement. Type 2 diabetes is a common disease which affects many people and is costly for our society, something like that. And then you already know what you want to argue for. So then you can already then move on to the main part of the paragraph and then sum up just as before. And then you can also do in a third way, where you start with the topic sentence. This thesis is about type 2 diabetes. And then you give the main part, which is all the statistics that so and so many are inflicted, it costs so much, this is changing over time. And then in the end, you sum up as before. So then you don't really know what is the main argument, what is the main thing that is the common thing that this paragraph is about, or the main conclusion of the paragraph until in the very end. But sometimes, depending on how you are and how things are flowing and so, this might also be a good structure. And of course you can also do in other ways. But these are three really common structures, and it's good to know about this, and also good to read with these eyes when you start to read good scientific papers, and also to think and criticize each other when you're reading each other's texts. Yes, so that much about paragraphs. The final thing I want to say about structured writing in this first little or in this little presentation is that you should use figures. This is the thing that you need to start to train yourself in, how to extract what you want to say in terms of a figure. And if you just take the last slide I had up, it was some figures that showed three different ways of structuring a paragraph. And you sort of followed what I said. And I could just as well have said it in the way that I'm doing now, with just words on pages. But then you would have to yourself structure things, and it's sort of not as appealing. So if you have not only words written or spoken, but you have words together with a figure, then you sort of get a clearer understanding, which is easy to understand, and it's sort of much nicer, and it gives a much quicker understanding of what you want to say. So if you can sort of do nice figures, which really captures the flow of the logic that you want to convey, and then you use these figures, you refer to them, you point to them, you cite them in a way that it's really clear that this sentence that I'm saying now belongs in that part of the figure, and this sentence I'm saying now belongs in that part of the figure. Then you can really help to convey the structure of the message. And in writing, as in presenting, structure is everything. This is 90% of good writing is writing in a structured way. So that was it for this little mini presentation of some more tips on how to write in a structured way.